red bucket for the right, blue bucket for the left. R, red, right. See? Tricky, eh? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in plastic bags for their respective sides. There we go. The spring is okay, and the rubber seal as well. They're fine. Connecting rod for the choke is fine. And the bolts that mount the carb onto the engine, they came off fine. That little clip is okay. And the top looked okay. Huh. Yeah, as long as it clamps down onto that thing, alright. But it's otherwise alright. Now here's the thing. Here's that needle. I don't know if you can tell that that thing is bent. Wow. 231. That is bent. How did that get bent? Well, 231 is what it says on it. Oh, by the way, that slide, just for numbers reference, says PW26L. It looks like a Kane 2-0. Alright, that's it for the parts for the right or red. Now to the left side, which I fished some things out here. I went ahead and also put the petcock in there. I will need to take it apart. Okay. Carb itself. What do we got? The slide. A bit uglier looking than the other one. Sure is. PW26R and a Kane 2-0 on the bottom. And yeah, I mean, it just looks like it's been rubbed up against stuff. It's been scraped. I don't know if it's been pulled at an angle or if it just wasn't mated correctly. I don't know. We'll put that into the bag. And the cover and the gasket looked alright. That cap looked okay. You know, it's corroded. I'll need to clean all that out with carb spray, carb cleaner. Spring's okay. No cracks, no breaks. And a couple bolts came off okay. I didn't feel that they were cross-threaded or anything. And remember that on this side we had a washer and a retainer clip. And this is the, speaking of retainer clips, this is the one for the jet needle. That was alright. And then the jet needle itself. This is a 242. And this one looks straight. And there are 5 notches on the top with the clip on the second notch down. But otherwise it's a 242 and it looks pretty darn straight. I'd have to roll it against glass to see if it's really straight, but it feels right. Alright, he goes back in here. But I did want to look at that right one again. What was that? It's 242? And this is the bent one. Come out, come out. Here we go. That's either a 2-3 or it could be a 2-3-1. Yeah, that thing's bent. It's a different needle. One on the right, one on the left. Weird. Okay, so those are the parts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the carb itself apart. And the easiest way to do that first is the bottom. This. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and pull the jets out. Now the jet and the jet holder are coming out at the same time. And the holder itself, I don't see a number on it. It might be standard for this carb. Looks like I need a wrench for that. Can we guess at what size? Nope. About 8mm. Yep. There we go. Alright, so this is the main jet and the main jet holder. And the main jet says 135 on it. Okay, and it looks pretty darn good, actually. It looks really clean. I don't think there's anything at all wrong with that jet unless somebody's bored it out. Sometimes you can see evidence of a bore out, but usually not. Otherwise, it looks alright. I'm looking down the barrel and it looks just fine. Okay. I'm going to just kind of leave it a little bit loose here. That will go into its own bag. Because what I'll do is I will clean these guys with pine sol. Now this is the idle jet. And yes, it is small. The number is 42, so it's got an idle jet of 42. And it actually looks pretty darn good. Looks like it's been removed a number of times. But the hole doesn't look oblong. It looks perfectly round. So I don't think anybody has widened that up. You know, has like put a bit down in there and opened it up. So, and where it goes down it is a bit kind of carbed, kind of fouled. Not terribly, but some. But anyway, got to remove these. It's good to clean them, and then what I'll do is I'll remove the rubber parts and leave just the metal parts here. I'll disassemble the rest of this, and basically by pulling that pin, pulling the float, and then the I don't remember. This I'm pretty sure is the mixture needle. Could be the idle. Wouldn't be idle, would it? Yeah, that's the idle screw, because there's a spring in there. Alright. Wow, are there separate idle screws for each carb? How would that work? There's a spring down in here. I may need something finer to get it out. Alright. Well, the piece will go in there. And that one feels... yeah, that one feels more like a mixture screw. And in fact, that would be... yes, this is on the fuel side. So this is a mixture screw where when you open it, and it's got a spring associated with it, when you open it, it adds more fuel into the mixture. Some carbs have an air mixture. This is a fuel mixture. So there's an air mixture screw on different carbs that lets more air through, air bleed through. This one, when you open it up, it lets more fuel through. So it operates opposite those others. So, small little spring with the mixture screw. Still got another spring in there that I need to pull out. Oh, and by the way, there is this seat, this float seat I need to get out, don't I? Can I guess? Can I guess? No, that was way off. My guessing's not real good. There we go. That came right apart. So this is the float seat. There's probably a better word for it. That's the one I'm using now. And it's got a little gasket on it. Just leave on there. Put that in the bag. And looks like the hole in there is nice and clean. So far I'm not seeing anything absolutely terrible here. And that fuel feed, I should remove it. 10mm. Okay. That came off. Everything looks clean inside of there. That goes in the bag. And is there anything else I need to open? I want to get that one spring out, but I'll need something smaller. I don't think there's anything else I got to take off. There's a ring here that seals up against the engine, and that looks really pretty old. If I can find another one of these, I will. Get a little better seal against the engine. Oh yeah. Wow. That's an awful shape. That's really thin. It's really hard. If this thing has any seal at all against the engine, I'd be surprised. It is probably leaking air right through here. So that'll be on the replacement list. But pretty much that's it. And I'll put my internal carb parts here. They're all in blue, which is left. And put that stuff back there. All right. Okay, it's pine sol time. Got everything on the right-hand side put in the red bucket, and the left-hand side into the left bucket. I also went ahead and took the rest of the petcock apart and took the one rubber seal in there and pulled it out. But there's nothing rubber or phenolic in there. Everything else is metal, or could take the pine sol soaking overnight. Here's what I'm going to do. I've got 1.5 containers of pine sol. I'm going to equally distribute them, about half and half, roughly. And same thing with this one. This is really fantastic stuff. Roughly about half. Roughly about half. And now I'm going to add water, enough to cover the tops. Alrighty, everything is all soaking in there. We're going to leave it soak overnight in that pine sol mixture. It's, roughly, I don't know, 1/3 pine sol and the rest water, just to top off, to get everything above the carbs and the parts. So what that'll do is that'll eat into all of the gas corrosion, all the leftover materials that, from the fuel and dirt and grime and grease and stuff, and some of the little particulates as well. It's really pretty good. So hopefully that'll do the trick. Also, in the meanwhile, that I bagged up my parts. I've got them labeled now, left side carb, right side carb, and the petcock, and got my tools that I use to take them apart. I'll use the same tools to put stuff together. But once it's all done, I'll come back tomorrow. We'll go ahead and take these carbs out, and we'll clean them off and use carb cleaner and some compressed air to go ahead and clean those guys out. Okay, here we go. Well, I've got the carbs all disassembled here, and I soaked them in the pine sol mixture, which was mostly pine sol and some water. Everything came out pretty good. I need to go through and use carb spray, carb cleaner to clean them out, but otherwise it did pretty good. I also went ahead and picked up these carb repair kits. These I just picked up off of eBay, KH0017, made in Taiwan. The cool thing about these is that it's all fresh rubber and fresh jets and fresh needles and fresh springs, and you can see the comparison, in look. Of the two carbs, the floats, as I had mentioned earlier, one was bent in a bit, and yeah, you can see that one here on the left is bent in. I need to straighten that out. This one is pretty good, just needs to be bent a little bit. But those I'll need to set the float height on, because if these are bent, then that tang has been messed with as well. So I'll do that. I'll replace all the little screws and whatnot with this carb repair kit. A bowl, gosh, I hope I got the right one. Looks like I did. A brand new bowl for the petcock, because there were repairs made using JB Weld on the bottom of this, and they are actually leaking. It's difficult to tell, but you can see light through this, and so it would leak, and there's no way I'd ever be able to get that correct. And so I'm going to go not period correct. This is a brand new sealing ring, as well as the bowl itself. But hey, like I said earlier, I'm not looking for museum quality. I just want to make this thing a runner, and so that's going to be onto that with a brand new seal. So with that, I am going to take these parts outside and run them through with carb cleaner. Alright, for this now I've got some carb cleaner, I've got some of that when I run out of that. I'm also going to put on some rubber gloves just because this stuff's kind of caustic. And if you've worked with Carb Cleaner before, you know that it's really, really good. But if you get it sprayed up on your face or skin or whatever, it tends to sting, so be careful. And first thing first, let's go with the petcock. What the heck? And I'm just going to try to... Yeah, the wind's blowing a little bit towards me. Oops. So just going through and trying to clean it out. Nope, there's no crack there. I thought I saw some shadows, but it's just gook. And it's doing a pretty good job of removing it. The pine saw already removed most of it, or loosened it up, but this Carb Cleaner really does a great job of finishing the rest up. About that, since I'm replacing the bowl, I don't need to clean the bowl. We'll go ahead and clean the round slide. Really want to get this guy nice and clean because it'll be sliding inside of the carb. It needs to go real nice and smooth. So far it's looking pretty good. Alright, that one's done. Me, I'm going to put this a little bit here, make it a little bit easier for me. Alright, the bottom of the carb, this is the carb bowl. Oh look, my glove's worthless. Alright, so the bottom of that guy, go ahead and spray that out. I've got some calcification inside that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get completely clean. No, it doesn't look like it. But if it's, as long as it's not loose, I feel okay. I just don't want it breaking off and getting into the fuel supply. Buy a different brand next time. Okay. Now on these guys, what I really want to make sure that I do is get the passages clean. And so I'm going to be spraying Carb Cleaner in every single one of them. You want to watch that you don't go through a passage and spray out like into yourself. So kind of hold it far enough away. That doesn't happen. I'm just kind of soaking it down right now. And then I'll go through with the brush. There you go. Also want to try to get rid of as many of the seal, much of the seal residue as you can, because when you put new seals in, you want them to lay right up against the metal and not have any bumps there that disturb the seal. And just like when you're stripping paint or wallpaper, sometimes you gotta lay down a few different doses of this stuff and then just scrape away and then put more on, because it opens up paths for it to get up on and underneath the grime.